Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Phillies Outlook Vidcast, and today I'm joined by Natitude Nation, as he's going to come on here. We're going to talk some baseball. Obviously, he's a Nationals fan, and we're just going to have some baseball talk. So thank you so much for joining us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. Obviously, it's been 2 days since the Nationals swept out the Phillies in a 5-game series. The Phillies only got one win in Washington, D.C. this year, all season long. And that was way back in April in that first game of that 2-game series. That was the only win the Phillies got all season long. And the Nationals totally had the Phillies number all season long. So as a Phillies fan, I'm a little disappointed, of course, especially the way our season's gone. So how do you feel about this 5-game sweep for the Nats?
I felt pretty good about it. They pretty much dominated on both sides of the ball this series. It was really nice to see that happen, especially with what happened in the offseason.
Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest thing about that is it was it's coming from unexpected players. Like Anthony Rondon and Juan Soto didn't have that great a series in that 5-game series.
Yeah.
It was like Jubal Cabrera, these other players.
Yeah, Rondon and Soto have really been slumping since September started, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure they have a batting average under 200 this month. So it was really nice to see some other guys like Cabrera step up.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's something that could propel you into the wild card, of course, against the Brewers. Yeah. Now, how confident are you going into this wild card game?
Pretty confident. We got Strasberg going for us, and Dave Martinez announced that Strasberg and Corbin will be available out of the bullpen. So I'm liking it right now.
Yeah,
especially given that it's probably going to be the Brewers we're facing, and they don't have great starting pitching. They'll probably start Woodruff, who isn't really an ace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's. I think the Nationals will prevail in the wild card. Now, I think that would be ironic if they won a series without Bryce Harper. I think that would kind of be ironic for a lot of people.
The memes would be endless too.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's a good point. Now, looking at it from a Phillies perspective, I'm really, really disappointed, especially the way we were all hyped up at the beginning of the season, spent all that money, and it really just sucks. I mean, I feel like I've a total letdown about what happened this year. So looking at it from the Nationals' perspective, how do you see the Phillies this year? Obviously, it was a disappointment.
At the beginning of the season, I thought that the Phillies would take the division, but the starting pitching didn't work out. Arrieta really declined this year. Pivetta and Velasquez have been terrible, and Nola isn't.
Nola's not that good this year.
Yeah. Nola really isn't a true number one.
Nah, he's number
one starter.
Yeah.
But then again, you look at the injuries too. He had Kutch go down. You had Robertson go down earlier in the year. So if they can get a top tier starter like Cole this offseason, which I think the Phillies have a pretty good shot at, given that they were prepared to spend on both Harper and Machado last year, then I think that they'll be pretty dangerous next year because you'll get Robertson back, you'll get McCutcheon back, who's an impact player even now. So
unfortunately, Robertson is out until next year too. That was it for him. He's done.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's done. Yeah. Well, McCutcheon will be coming back next year, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but McCutcheon will definitely provide the spark. Mm-hmm. And then Hoskins will bounce back next year.
I hope so.
He'll have a pretty big year.
I hope so. I hope you're right. I mean, I think last year, he hit 246 with 34 home runs. He does have I believe he leads the National League in walks. So his on base percentage is pretty good. His batting average is really, really bad. He's sits at 226, I believe. So he's really, really fallen off with the batting average. And then the power numbers have really gone down. I mean, he was on track for 40 home runs in April, and he only has 29 right now. So, and there's only 2 games left of the season. So I'm very disappointed in Rhys Hoskins, the way he's played this year. It's very disappointing, especially after Carlos Santana last year. I mean, Hoskins is hitting 2 points lower than Santana's average last year. I think trading Santana away, I think we all thought, that's going to be a huge year for Rhys Hoskins. Well, he's actually decreased since moving from left field to first base. So a little concerning for me, since I'm a Phillies fan. I'm kind of concerned about that. Now let's talk about someone that used to play for the Nationals and now plays for the Phillies. And the National fans, not most of them at least, are not very fond of this man since he left the team for money. I could maybe see why they're not big fans of him. Bryce Harper left the Nationals and declined a 10-year, $300 million contract from Mike Rizzo. So he signed a 13-year, $330 million contract with the Phillies. 259 average, 34 home runs, 99 walks, 111 RBIs, 36 doubles. He's had himself a solid season. Certainly, I expected him to hit for a little higher average. I'm not happy with the 259 average. I think I expect him to hit around 40 to 45 home runs. I mean, 34 isn't bad. I like the RBIs. I'm very, very pleased with the RBIs. He sits at 99 walks. But overall, I'm pleased. That's a good first year in Philadelphia. Looking at it from the Nationals' perspective, what do you think about? Obviously, they didn't bring him back. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But what do you think Harper has? Do you think he's been productive this year? I mean, not to mention his defense. He has 13 outfield assists this year, and last year only had 1. So I think a lot of it has to do with him. He played a lot of center field last year with the Nationals, and now he's strictly right field. And I think that helps. So what do you think about it looking at it from a Nationals perspective? Do you think he's been productive this year?
Honestly, I expected the power numbers to go up a bit. Considering Citizen Bank Park is a bit more of a hitter's park than bats park.
Agreed.
So that was kind of surprising. And if this is a down year for Harper, then that bodes well for the Phillies because he's been very, very solid this year, very above average, both in the field and at the plate.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with you on that. And a lot of people compare Bryce Harper and Juan Soto, and obviously Juan Soto's having a much better season. He gets on base more, and the thing is with Juan Soto, I think between those two players is that Soto hits for a higher batting average than Harper does, and I think that at the end of your career, I think you're going to see Soto hit for a much higher average than Harper. I think some stats will be bad. I think the RBIs are pretty similar, the home runs are pretty similar, but I think Soto has obviously much better on base skills, and I think he's much better at hitting for a higher average. Do you agree?
Yeah, and the thing about Soto this year is that last year he hit for a high average, but his power numbers were still very good.
Mm-hmm.
But they're nothing compared to what he's done this year because he's raised his slugging. I believe it was about 50 points while keeping the same on base and average,
mm-hmm. which
is going to be really huge for him if he can continue that in future years.
Right. If you guys are not familiar, this is Natitude Nation runs a Juan Soto fan page called juangoato. I'll leave the link in the description below this video. He does a really good job running that account. It's number one stats for Juan Soto and updates for Juan Soto. And Juan Soto even follows the page as well. So definitely go give that a follow. But moving on to the postseason, you have the Braves winning this division. At the beginning of the year, you said the Phillies, you saw the Phillies winning this division. Where did you see the Braves, finishing at the end of the year?
I saw the Braves being a wild card contender. Honestly, I thought they'd take a step back.
Same.
With the young roster. I thought Acuna would slump a bit, which
mm-hmm.
he has, but I thought he'd take a step back even further. Like I thought Soto would also take a step back a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been really surprising, especially with the rotation that they have. They don't have that great of a rotation.
Mm-hmm.
And they've still done what they've done, which is really impressive. Really, really impressive.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. And it's like they have Tehran, Fultonevich, and Dallas Keuchel, of course. So it's not like the Nationals pitching staff with the three horses, of course. It's still decent, I'd say. I think the Phillies and the Marlins are the worst rotations in the NL East, of course. Yeah. Now you look over at the what were you going to say?
No. I just said I agree with you there.
Yeah. Look over at the New York Mets. They were a dumpster fire in the month of June. They've clinched third place. I know you put that on your story the other day. The Phillies have officially clinched fourth place, which is a disgrace. And anyway, the Mets obviously underachieved all season long. They brought in Robinson Cano, which is a kind of a questionable decision in my mind. why they did that. Like 5 years, like 110, I think, was when they first got him. Like that was, I mean, he's got a boatload of money owed to him. Edwin Diaz has been kind of a joke. So what have you thought about the New York Mets this year?
I did not expect the Mets to finish in third place. I had them finishing at fourth, maybe a couple of games over 500.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been a little surprising for me.
Mm-hmm.
But as for their offseason moves, I don't understand why you would trade a top prospect in Kelenic and another one in Justin Dunn for a guy who's entering his upper 30s and not that productive. And Diaz has been a huge disappointment for them, obviously, too.
Oh, no question. Yeah. And like they went out and traded for Marcus Stroman, and they gave up like another boatload of prospects for him too. And like he could walk in free agency.
Yeah. They've thrown away a good part of their future and hasn't gotten them very much this year.
No, I would not be happy if I were a Met fan. I don't really know what the future is going to hold for the Mets. It's definitely going to be interesting. We'll get to the postseason a little bit, but I'm going to go back to the Nationals again.
Okay.
There's two things I want to talk about. First of all, I want to talk. The three things I want to talk about is Anthony Rondon, Steven Strasberg, and Bryce Harper if he would have stayed. Now, first I want to talk about Steven Strasberg. Obviously, he has an opt-out after this year. I don't think he's going to opt out, but do you? I think he's owed like $40 million, like in just 1 year within the next couple of years. I don't know how much money he's owed exactly, but I know the contract's really backloaded with the AAV.
Yeah. Strasburg's the highest paid pitcher in the league.
Mm-hmm.
but he might leverage his opt out into an even bigger contract, which I don't see him doing.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, he's represented by Boris, who likes to go for the big bucks.
Of course.
But there's like I could see him maybe opting out and going to San Diego to be closer to home. But I'm expecting that he'll stay in Washington.
Yeah, I expect him to stay there too. I mean, I think he likes it there, and I think he's happy with the money he has, and I think it's one of those things is that like, I got all the money I want, and I'm happy here, so why opt out and go through that process again? You already got the money squared away. It's all guaranteed.
Yeah.
I mean, why risk it?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Anthony Rondon, he's having an MVP season. As you said, he has slumped a little bit in the month of September, but that kind of overshadows what he's done. Everyone wants to, Arenado's had a good year, but honestly, if you look at like the deep stats and like you go like way down, like Anthony Rondon's actually had a better season than Arenado.
Oh yeah, he's had a much better season. I think that him and Alex Bregman are the best two third basemen in the league. He's if he'd continued his pace in September that he had in post All-Star break into September, I think that he would have won MVP. Now I see him finishing third behind Bellinger and Yelich probably.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's been huge. He's filled the hole that Harper left in a huge way.
Mm-hmm.
And if he leaves, I honestly don't know how they'll fill that hole because you can't win behind one superstar.
Right.
Behind one superstar hitter like you've seen with the Angels with Trout. And Soto's obviously no Trout.
Yeah. If he had better defense, he'd be,
Yeah. He's improved his defense big time, but it's still it's still not that great.
Yeah, the outfield assist. I don't think he has an outfield assist this year. Is that correct?
Yeah, He's had a weak arm since he came into the league, but I feel like that'll improve over time.
I agree. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's anything to worry about there.
But as for Rondon and his contract situation, I feel like the biggest competitor for the Nationals would be the Texas Rangers, because they have room to add him at third base. Now that Beltran's retired, they have a ton of cap space, and Rondon grew up in Houston.
Yeah, so, Richmond. Yeah, I think he grew up in Richmond, like right outside of.
Yes,
Richmond, I think we were just talking about that a couple months ago. How you said that they have a good. I forget his name. They have like a good prospect at third base. I forget the guy's name. Off the top of my head, I can't remember.
Yeah, they have a few third basemen, shortstops in their top 10 prospects, so that
you could just trade him for some pitching.
Sorry?
You could just trade him for like some pitching, which they
need. Exactly. So that could happen because the Rangers with Gallo breaking out this year in a huge way, maintaining his power numbers
and hitting for a little higher average
getting
too.
Up base a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So they might shock you people by going after him this year.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly possible. I think some other people. I disagree with this. A lot of people want to put the New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies in the race. I totally disagree. I think the Phillies are very content without them. I don't see them going anywhere near Anthony Rondon. As to the New York Mets, I don't see that happening either. I think everybody said Machado to the Mets last year. I don't even think they met with them. So,
no, they didn't.
No, I mean that's not.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you there, especially with all the money they owe to Cano, and then even Cespedes, who's been an absolutely terrible investment for them.
That is a joke, man. Like I think how did he injure himself on the farm, right? In his ranch in Cuba.
He broke his leg. He broke his leg getting off his tractor, I think.
Oh my god, that's embarrassing. That couldn't get any more Mets, honestly.
That's probably the most Mets thing to ever happen.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. Now, I think going back to Rendon, I think like the fan base was already a little upset about losing Harper. You could maybe justify not bringing Harper back because if you would have kept Harper, that would have hurt the development of Victor Robles because you have Juan Soto, Victor Robles, and Adam Eaton. Like I think that they would have traded Eaton if they would have brought Harper back.
Yeah, they probably would have traded Eaton if they had kept Harper.
Yeah, and you think they just would have put Robles in center and just Harper in right?
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Why last year? Why did they keep putting Harper in center and not Eaton in center?
Because Eaton was coming back from an ACL tear, and they didn't want him running that much, so they just stuck him in right field.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I always wondered that. I'm like, why didn't they just put him in center field? I always wondered that. Now, going into this free agency, now obviously I think, as you said, the Phillies should be targeting, Garrett Cole. But, some smaller names, like some smaller pitching names. Obviously, I know you're probably familiar with this name, Tanner Roark, who plays in Oakland now. Zach Wheeler. There's like some or Cole Hamels, of course, is coming on this market as well. Do you think that could you see the Phillies maybe like signing like two of those guys to kind of like fill their pitching rotation a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can never have too much pitching, and the Phillies definitely need it.
Absolutely.
And another guy that's on the market next year is Ryu too. So,
wow.
So
yeah, I think a few others.
They'll probably go after a few guys, but I can't imagine the scenario where the Phillies don't walk away this offseason with a top tier pitcher.
I agree. And if they don't walk away from a top tier pitcher, I expect them to, as I said, sign like two or three pitchers that would make up for that. Course. So yeah. I mean, I think we kind of gave our opinions about free agency. Now, I had to before we talk about the playoffs, I had a guest come on, another Nationals fan. Are you familiar with everything Nationals?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he said he's a little concerned about the Nationals' future because he says that he's afraid Rendon will walk. And he's afraid that the Nationals won't be able to keep up with the Phillies or the Braves or teams like that. Do you disagree with him on that?
I can see where he's coming from because Luis Garcia, who's been hailed as the next Juan Soto to come out of the Nationals organization.
Luis Garcia, his name is?
Yeah, Luis Garcia.
Oh my gosh, did the Phillies have a shortstop prospect named Luis Garcia?
Oh, really? Garcia's a middle infielder too. This Nationals Garcia's.
That's funny. Too. Yeah, it'd be funny if they both came up when they were both superstars.
Yeah. Garcia, who's been hailed as the next Soto, he had an OPS around 650, and I'm pretty sure it was around 650 in AA, which is not great at all. And then Carter Keyboom will probably move to second base,
and then Dozier will walk in free agency.
Sorry,
Dozier will just leave in free agency after this year.
Yeah. That's what I'm expecting too. So they'll probably move Kieboom to second, and then that leaves Luis Garcia to play third if Rondon leaves. And I honestly don't see Garcia becoming an MVP candidate like Rondon.
Mm.
So, and then especially with the Braves, they have I think they have 7 or 8 top prospects in the MLB 100, top 100.
Yeah.
So I feel like they'll dominate the NL East for the next for a few years to come.
Mm-hmm.
So I can definitely see where he's coming from for there.
Yeah. Yep. I totally agree with you on that aspect. So as you said, Rondon could walk in free agency. Now I have a question. As a Nationals fan, obviously the Nats fans did boo Harper. Do you think that Anthony Rondon will be booed if he goes to a place like Texas?
No.
I agree.
No, because
I think Harper's a pulverizing player, and he went to a division rival, and he's hated.
Yeah. The only reason that he got booed was because he went to the Phillies. If he had gone to the Giants, who were the other contender down the road, I don't think he would have gotten booed up.
Yeah, that's so true. So looking at it from a from a fan perspective, it was pretty cool. Obviously, I'm sure you weren't happy that Harper homered off of Strickland, but it was pretty cool to see those two go at it again. It's kind of.
I actually started laughing when I saw them on TV. That was kind of comical, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, yeah, that would have been funny if you would have thrown at him, and then Harper would have had a rematch again. That'd be kind of funny. Yeah. So let's talk about the playoffs. Obviously, the playoffs are squared away except for the NL Central. It looks like the Cardinals will hold on to win that division. So the defending World Series champions, Boston Red Sox, are out or didn't even make it into the playoffs, which is kind of crazy. They totally had a different season than they did last year. That's for sure. Hangover. They kind of had a rough start, and they couldn't make up enough ground because the Yankees were just destroying everybody. It amazes me with the Yankees. First of all, they broke the record again, and they missed Stanton and Judge. Didn't even have that great of seasons. They did it with other players, like Gio Urshela, Gabriel Torres,
and
Sanchez.
What's his name? There was that Talkman, Mike Talkman. He's been great for them too.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Sanchez was having a great season, and I don't know what happened to him. I think he, I forget what I know he got hurt. I forget what it was, but he's really fallen off. I think he's hitting 230 right now, something like that. So he's really fallen off. Obviously, they have Edwin Encarnacion as well. I'm a really big Edwin Encarnacion fan. He used to be one of my favorite players a couple years ago. I still really like him. So, okay. So I'd like to what was that?
I just looked it up, and apparently Sanchez and Encarnacion are supposed to return to the Yankees this week. So they'll get a pretty big boost coming into the playoffs.
Yeah. I definitely see either the Dodgers, Astros, and Yankees being one of the top teams to really win it. Do you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think the Astros could win it again. Honestly, I think they had the pitching, and especially they're going to lose Cole, so this is going to be their final year. That's why they went out and traded for Zach Greinke. Because they.
Their big three is scary in a short series, and given their offense, you have Bregman, you have Correa, you have Altuve.
Oh yeah.
And even Yuli Gurriel has been very, very good.
Yeah,
that's pretty scary, honestly.
Yeah, I would not want to face them.
Got Springer too at 37 homers.
Right. Yeah. It's he missed some time too. He missed a good amount of time.
It's unreal.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now realistically, how far do you see the Nationals going in the playoffs this year?
This may sound a bit biased, but I feel like they could beat the Dodgers in the NLDS because you have the Nats big three against the Dodgers big three.
Right. I honestly think the Nationals
versus Strasberg, Corbin, Scherzer.
I think the Nationals rotation may even be better than the Dodgers rotation. Call me crazy.
I feel like their playoff rotation will be better than the Dodgers' playoff rotation because, in the regular season you had Anibal Sanchez and then three guys in Austin Voth, Joe Ross, and Eric Fetty for the five spot. And they obviously won't be on the playoff roster because you'll have a max of probably four starters. So, I feel like if they get past the Brewers in the wild card game, that they have a pretty good shot.
I agree. Yeah, definitely agree. Now, here's another thing I want to talk about. Dave Martinez, it looked like he was going to get fired in May. Like the Nationals were 12 games under 500 in May. We all thought Martinez was going to get fired. And they just completely turn it around. Like, that doesn't just happen. I've talked about that in this video a lot. Like, that doesn't just happen. That doesn't just magically happen. That takes a leader to step up. And I talk about this with everything now. I want to talk about Martinez a little bit, but with Harper coming over, how much of an impact do you think that he had on this, the Nationals?
I feel like Parra definitely loosened up the clubhouse a bit. I mean, I think he was on to start the dancing in the dugout after homers and everything like that. And I think one of his first at bats with the Nationals was a game-winning grand slam over the Dodgers in LA. So that definitely had a huge impact on the team and on the clubhouse, and it played a huge part in turning the season around.
Definitely agree with you.
And then,
what were you gonna say?
No, go ahead.
No. I was just agreeing with you. I was gonna wait for what you were gonna say.
I don't have much more to say, anyways.
Okay. So one of the final things we're going to talk about on here is the Nationals. Let's say, we'll talk about two scenarios. If the Nationals lose in the wild card, does Dave Martinez get fired?
Depends on how they lose, because I feel like if they lose because of bullpen mismanagement, like him going to Rodney or like him going to someone like Rodney if Daniel Hudson's available, then I feel like he might get fired. But I'm just gonna go with maybe.
All right. Yeah. What if they lose in the NLDS? Well, it depends on how many games they lose. Like
probably not.
I agree.
Yeah. I think it'll depend on how they lose because when they were 19 and 31, Trey Turner was out with a broken hand. Soto and Rondon had both missed time, and then they just and then they turned around. Obviously, the bullpen tightened up a bit. So I feel like the early season struggles weren't that much on Martinez because he had no one he could trust in the bullpen except Doolittle. Doolittle was the only solid guy in the bullpen until June when a few guys tightened up. So I think that Martinez has been good this year except for trusting Rodney too much because he's inexplicably gone to him when guys like Wander Suero or Tanner Rainey or Daniel Hudson are still available, and he's blown games. So I feel like that's the only thing that he's done poorly this year.
Yeah. Now another thing, like we're gonna talk about, two quick more things.
Hello, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, you can hear me? Hello. Everything good? Are you still there?
I can't hear you if you're saying something.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? It seems that we're losing connection here, guys. Apologize about that. You back, man? Apologize, guys. But what I was going to mention is, can you hear me, man?
You're dropping in and out.
Here, can you hear? Hold on for a second, man. I apologize about this, everybody. So, can you hear me better now? You hear me better now? All right. You can? All right. Yes. Anyway, all right, good. Now, I'm sorry about that, everybody. I apologize for that technical issue. Now, if the Phillies, do you think they're going to fire Gabe Kapler? Doesn't seem like he's doesn't seem like there's any connection here. Can you hear me now?
Probably, especially with
Especially with what? Oh, I'm sorry about this, everybody.
You're dropping it out again.
That's man, that's so annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, we're gonna wrap this up. Just so thank you all so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate you coming on. Hopefully we could do it again.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me, bro.
No problem. Go check out his social media. Link in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching. 6:05, the first pitch, Smith versus Eflin. Thank you all so much for watching. Talk to you all later.